Hi everyone, it's Tanya from Tanya Kraus Horsemanship and you're joining me for an episode of the Millie Diaries. It has just started raining, it's only spitting, so I'm hoping that my phone is going to last. Just trying to get rid of a horse again. We don't need the phone being knocked over. So I have actually brought her in and brushed her and everything, so she's been probably caught for, I don't know, not that long, 5 minutes or 10 minutes or something like that. What I thought we'd do today, I didn't bring any more sort of stuff. I wanted to still work on that backup out of the barrels and make sure that I want to get that a little bit more solid before we start talking about increasing the pressure again. So she's looking around a bit today, but let's go straight into it. That's not too bad at all. I really like that she's really level with the barrel. So if you recall on previous videos, I've spoken about the fact that she's not been, that was to another horse. So the risk of chasing another horse while she's in here, I have to be really careful about redirecting my energy and making sure my energy is going to the horse on the outside of the fence. Both her and Gally are kind of fairly sensitive in that regard. You guys have all seen Gally be reactive when I've chased another horse, but like I say, it's just started raining. I really want to film this and sort of get the phone out of the rain. I'm deliberately talking to you guys for an extended period of time because she's quite happy to stand in there, as she was yesterday. Now I am going to do a forward pass out of there. Because she had actually gone a little bit more forward. Good. Now, what I liked about that was that she didn't line up perfectly on the barrel, and you'll notice that when we get to the trailer loading, that I'm actually really, I'm going to be cautious with her because it's her, but with my own horses, you'll see, as long as it's safe to do so, and we'll talk about the safety of the trailer at another date, as long as it's safe to do so, I actually let my horses find their way into the loading bay. The reason for that is, now again, we've got a little bit of agitation, so I'm going to back her out this time. There's a reason, lovely back up, that was quite nice. There's a reason that I allow my horses to find that entryway, because again, it's kind of like it's like a double-edged kind of a sword. I didn't like that. Now remember yesterday I used my body. She's worried about something in the paddock. She doesn't get to think about running on top of me. Good. Ooh. I don't like it that she's not wanting to put her bum towards that direction, but she still has to do it. I'm going to stop her from walking out of that and say no. Because I was close enough, I was able to grab the knot of the halter. Now, the reason I allow my horses to find the loading bay themselves, I mean, I point them at it, but you know how you see a lot of people, and if the horse isn't perfectly lined up, they'll circle backwards, and the horse might be a little bit off to the right, and the horse goes, oh, I can't get in the trailer because I'm not lined up with the bay properly. My expectation is that my horses will actually find that gap themselves. So there's a little lick and chew. I'm not fascinated by the idea that she has now reached a little bit of a stress level. So there's probably a little bit of cortisol coming out in her, or being, you know, released in the brain. You can see that her body has tensed up. She's got a fixation down the paddock, the two ears, the two eyes, the head's up, the mouth has gone still. I don't like that's happening, but as I always say on these videos, you never get perfect conditions to train your horse. It is what it is. Sometimes I might be float loading or trailer loading, and there may be not perfect conditions. So, you know, I'd rather be doing it here with a couple of barrels than with the trailer. I don't want that stress to be associated with the trailer, and I don't mind that she's having to learn to stay in that gap. don't mind that she's having to learn to stay in that gap while she's a little bit stressed. I'm being careful to keep my breathing even and low. She doesn't get to walk through the halter either. Doesn't get to pull on my hand either. You're all right, Millie. Now it's unlikely. Now she's looking for the way out. She's saying, well, if I can't go forward, I want that foot to go backwards. She's saying, well, if I can't go forward, I want to go backwards. I want out of the gap. Now she doesn't, again, this isn't got nothing to do with the gap, right? She's actually pretty confident in this gap. Now this has everything to do with the stress of whatever it is down the paddock. Now again, a little bit sharp at that time because I don't want her to think that it's okay for me to push through the her to push through the halter. Now you have seen it, you've seen every video, there's nothing that you haven't seen. I'm filming every single session with this mare. Obviously, you know, she's in a stressed state now and she's saying, okay, well I want to go forward, I want to go backward, I want to go forward. So now I'm bringing in a little bit of obedience into the training and I'm saying, well no, you're not actually worried about these barrels, you're worried about whatever is happening over there and she's not using it as an excuse. It's very genuine that she's frightened. But what she's doing is she's saying, well, that's more important than whatever we're doing here, and so I really need to get in or out of the gap. Now, I wouldn't do this too many times because I don't want her to associate this stress level in the gap. Obviously, what we're trying to do is get her to be calm in the gap, but I also am taking it as an opportunity to say to her, well, okay, you need to learn how to be, I don't like using the word obedient, but she needs to learn how to follow directions even when conditions aren't perfect. So whilst we were all about the confidence and we were all about making sure that it was all good and we want her to be calm in there, when she's a little bit stressed, I'm not going to avoid it. I'm not going to say, oh, well, she's too stressed to be doing this now. She's not allowed to pull on my hand. She's not allowed to pull on my hand. See, she was saying there, well, my itch is more important than you, right? Good girl, Millie. So nice deep breaths. I'd really like to get her to a calmer place in here. I'm not sure it's going to happen today. She's got a lot to look at. You know, we just take each training session as it comes. I like that. Good girl. And like I say, I'm wanting the training sessions to be about the confidence and the quietness in this gap, but I refuse to avoid. Now, if she was super off her tree, I would probably be doing walk-bys. You know, it would take a lot for me to not do a session because the horse was a little bit stressed at this point in time. So let's get her out of here. Go forward. And I want to go through the other way. Again, she has to find that gap. Good girl. That's much nicer, actually. Let's see if I can ask her to back. Good job. Now, I am going to be very careful here when I take this halter off and step over to the side and get her to clear me there, because I knew that she was probably going to want to get away. This is probably the first session that we've actually done without Galliano being in the paddock with her. I'm not sure that's a real concern to her. She wasn't looking at Galliano at all. She's actually here. I'll see if I can turn it so you can see. Because it's, oh, sorry, covered the lens. There, she's there. She just sort of trotted up and she's flinging her head about. She's quite emotional. There's a big letdown of breath. So she has come back up to me and she's sort of like, I want to be in your company, but I'm just worried about what's going on down the paddock. I think she can probably actually, I've moved my other horses who are her paddock mates into a paddock that she can't quite see, but she knows the paddock's behind the bushes, and I think that there's gaps where she can see the flashes of the horses, and they would have just seen my car drive down here, so they're potentially running around going, oh, you know, we want to go to the herd, and that's what she's responding to. But irrespective, back to the point. My point is that I will absolutely abandon a training session if I feel like it's necessary. As we say, mental health before all else. So if she was really high and off her tree, I'd say, okay, we're not doing trailer loading today. Let's just try and get you calm. Let's try and get your head down. Let's try and get you breathing. You know, let's just do some connection work and see if you can, you know. Because she's not overly stressed, as in she's still controlling herself, I chose to proceed with the lesson, but what you might do is reduce expectations. So again, if she was not at the highest level, but she was, you know, not super high but very high on the scheme of things, what I might have done is just do pass-throughs through the barrel and said, okay, well, you're not going to stand in there today. I don't want that bum to come near me, especially while she's in an elevated state. But I felt like, again, I think she was probably just at a medium level of stress. And so at a medium level, what do? I say, okay, well, we're still going to do the training session. And I'm still going to have the expectation of you standing in there. But I'm absolutely going to read her body language and let her, you know, go in and out whenever, like, I feel like I can get in front of that. A couple of times she had to be told. You know, she's had a few lessons now in that halter where I've said, don't you run through that halter. Today, in her elevated state, she was a little bit more persistent in wanting to run through the halter. So I was a little bit firmer in my directive of like, no, you're not running through the halter. If I can't control a horse when it's elevated, I'm in a dangerous position. So, you know, that takes precedence over anything as well. I'm not super thrilled about the session. I thought it would be a little better today, but I'm not disappointed either. I just see that we've just branched out. If you think about the lesson being a straight line, all we've done is we've branched off to the side and we've dealt with some elevated anxiety kind of issues.